Hello there, this is Cindy at cindybdesigns.com. Thank you for joining me today. This is the card that we will be making from the Garden Walk Suite collection out of the holiday catalog on pages 52 through 54. And it's called a double Z fold fun card, at least I think it is. Super easy to make, believe it or not, just a couple cuts and score lines, and you're good to go. That is the autumn card that was kind of like my sample card that I made a couple days ago. It's on the blog last Thursday. And that's where I kind of get like the Z from a little bit. Is when you open it up, it looks like a Z. And like I said, it's really, really, really easy to make. Don't let fun folds intimidate you or anything like that. It stands up on its own great. And this is the Garden Walk Suite collection out of the holiday catalog. That is the photopolymer stamp set. It comes with a, I think it's just called Modern Punch. And then we have all that gorgeous designer series paper. There's Calypso Coral in this, Poppy Parade, Shaded Spruce, Garden Green, Wild Wheat, and a Pretty Peacock. There is hints of Petal Path in there because a lot of those images, they're lighter because they're being stamped off, and of course it coordinates with everything else that we have, but there's some great patterns in there. I love this stamp set. You can use it for birthdays, Christmas, um, holidays, and I love those little pearls that they have. They're in Garden Green, Gold, Petal Pink, and Pretty Peacock. I got a feeling this one's going, oh, by the way, and it comes with that Calypso Coral braided trim too. Very easy to tie. I got a feeling this one's going to carry over, but without the ribbon, the designer series paper, or the pearls, because sometimes that happens with our stamp sets in the holiday catalog at the end of the catalog. They always end up carrying over. So that's the pattern that I chose to use. And you're going to need some scraps too. That's Whisper White, Poppy Parade, Petal Pink. And our base is going to be Poppy Parade. And there's the colors: Petal Pink, Poppy Parade, Garden Green, and Pretty Peacock. Our base is going to be Poppy Parade. And the Petal Pink, I'm going to call that our fold. So that way I'll keep my language consistent throughout this. We're going to be using layering circles for the sentiment and to kind of stack that up. And that panel is going to be our sentiment panel. So you're going to want to cut that to 11 by 4 1/4. Don't worry about measurements, everything. They'll be on the blog. We want to score that on the 11 side at 2 3/4 and 5 1/2. And that's all we need. Then the Petal Pink, that is going to be 9 3/4 across by 3 1/4. And we're going to score that at 2 3/4 and again at 5 1/2. Now, when you want to, a lot of people will do their creases right now on the score lines. I do better personally without creasing my cardstock and laying down the designer series paper. Then I put it all together, or then I'll crease it. That's just how my brain works. And you can see how everything's kind of lining up by the score lines a little bit. You just want to make sure it's even on the left and right side when you put it all together. So to your designer series paper, if you want to take that all the way across on that piece, you want to keep it lined up the right way. And here I'm trying to figure out, okay, where does this meet? And I probably should have done that because that turned out better than the rest of them, but I didn't. But it all still worked out. So you want to keep your pattern going the same way. Now across the back, you don't have to put designer series paper on all 3 panels. You can only do it on the far left and the far right if you want, and do something different for that's in the middle. So to cut the base, the Poppy Parade designer series paper, you want to do 2 1/2 by 4 for the one over on the left. Okay, there we go. Because I'm doing a voiceover. 2 1/2 by 4. I just cut the whole thing down to 4 first. and then another 2.5 by 4. So you want to cut two if you want to cover the entire back of that card base. Now for that's going to be 5.25 by 4. So the first cut on your designer series paper is going to be 4 inches, and then you just cut the rest. And I really hope that made sense, because again, the width of it is 4 inches. So I'm kind of lining everything up there for some reason or another, and I don't know why. Okay, now I know why. Just to give me a visual cue. And I'm adhering them with Tombow Mono, and it looks like I'm putting a lot on, but I'm really not. It's very secure glue. If you put too much liquid adhesive on anything, it's going to make your paper just get super stiff and kind of warpy a little bit and soggy. So now that I got all my designer series paper on, I'm doing all my creasing for my score lines, and that is what our base looks like. Now we have our scores from there, and we know that this is going to be 3 inches in width. And again, 9.75 across. But it's going to be 3 inches in width because we're cutting that designer series paper down. So the first one I'm doing over there on the left is going to be 4 inches across by 3 down. And then that's 2.5 across by 3. And then the white sentiment panel, that's 2.5 by 3. And that's going to be coming up over on the right. And that's something that I just use to kind of sign your name, Merry Christmas or whatever. I'll probably pop a little flower on there at another time. So I have that on there and folding it all up and getting my crease lines in. And I think I slow it down coming up here. So on the back of that, because remember on our first piece, you have the fat end on the right. With this piece, you're going to have the fat end over on the left, which you see right there. So I'm putting tear and tape on the back of all of that there, and I'm pulling it off with my little poking tool. It's called Take Your Pick now, but I still have the old one. It works. I'm good. I want to get everything on there, centered top to bottom, left to right, and look how I'm holding that crease right there, so I'm not setting it down, and I'm focusing more so on getting the left centered, left, right, top, bottom, etc. And then once I feel good with that, I am going to just press that down and then open it back up, flip it over, and use my bone folder or my Chucky, that's the Chucky tool, to make sure it's on there nice. So for that's going to be the front. You can't put adhesive on the whole thing because see that fold right there? I'm grabbing a pencil, making sure it's all looking good, and it is. And so I'm going to grab that pencil and put like a little tick mark right behind there so I know where to stop the adhesive. So to the right of that line, that is where I'm going to add my tear and tape. And I do use my bone folder just to make sure it gets down there really, really good and secured to the cardstock. Pop like another one up there because I don't want that coming up, anywhere down the road along the line. Make sure that's on. Pull off the tear and tape again. Tuck in the edges where I kind of overshot the edge of the cardstock. And then I'm just going to pretty much line everything up. And I use my grid mat a lot to do that and secure it down. And that is how easy making that Z fold is. I mean, to me, this is a card that you could just easily mass produce, believe it or not, because it really is that easy. So I'm pulling in my basic white cardstock, and I am going to lay down our sentiment from Garden Walk, and that is going to get stamped in pretty peacock ink. And I think I'm going to ink that up just a couple times because you know how I like my sentiments darker and everything like that. And once again, that tool is called a Chucky, and sometimes I'll use a mini brayer. And where did I pick? Amazon, just like a stamp press or something like that. That's all I look for because I've seen a lot of other people use it you get up there in age a little bit and things start to hurt, and I just find it to be a really good tool, and it helps me to get things evened out. So I'm pulling in the layering circles, trying to figure out which one I want to do. And I wanted to go with that one, but it looked really big compared to my autumn one. It's like, oh, that was the other one. So I went over to that, and depending on the sentiment that you use and what you want to do with it, pick and choose your own and kind of, figure out what you want to put on the greeting on your front. So I'm pulling in the mini Stampin' Emboss machine, pulling that out. Now this double Z fold card, you can use it for any occasion, in Halloween, with our other product suites, anything like that. So I'm doing a scallop circle for the petal pink, because I don't want to do pink on pink necessarily. And then I was going to do another scallop one out of red, but it's like, nah, that's too much red. So I pull the next circle up, and I'm running that through the mini Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. And this is when I pull in Petal Pink, Poppy Parade, and Garden Green, because I wanted to add some flowers to that, because it was like too kind of white, and stamp off a little bit, because I really didn't like how my regular Petal Pink was turning out. But this is messy, sloppy stamping, excuse me. And if I had to do that flower on the top left again, I would have done it on the right, but maybe it would have been too much with a bow. Who knows, but you see it like underneath the knot. I'm adding that and Poppy Parade. These images is two-step, but they don't necessarily line up with each other. And, that's okay. It's kind of flowy, artistic. And this is where I'm kind of pulling in those pearl rounds a little bit, figuring out, okay, which one do I want to use, stamping out the leaf. And I did that 4 times, and I believe the other ones were 2 and I think 3 times each. But it works out. So that's what we're looking like. I'm grabbing in my liquid adhesive again, and I'm going to glue that atop of the scallop petal pink, and then put that down on top of, I have no idea why I did that, but it worked out, and lay that on top of the Poppy Parade cardstock. Now, for this one, now see, I went back and forth and used my brayer on that one, because I'm weird like that. So I'm going to pop a couple Stampin' Dimensionals onto the back. I did 3 of our sentiment panel there, and that's going to go right in the middle of that top panel. I like things to hold down my paper as I'm putting things on, because I don't like things slipping and having to redo it. So it's just, that's what I do. Next thing I'm going to do is, go back to those little dots and figure out what I want to do. And I end up settling on the pretty peacock one, just to kind of pull more of the pretty peacock into the sentiment. And that worked out. Now this is where, because we're kind of in the home stretch right now, I am going to grab that Calypso Coral braided linen ribbon. I popped one of the larger, or a mini glue dot over there on the left, seeing how big of a bow I want to get. And I like sticking my tool through that as well, just to get the bows back up, or the loops, and see how it's going to look on the cardstock. And I'm going to pop that off real quick, and then we are going to pretty much finish embellishing this. So honestly, that's pretty much it for this simple, easy Z-fold. All I'm going to do is just kind of snip the ends so the ribbon looks good there. But I do thank you for joining me today. Lots going on in October. We have new online exclusives available now, join special, just a lot of other great things going on, especially with this holiday season coming up. And I think I said I settled on the pretty peacock one. And again, super simple. Anytime you see something on my blog that you want to see a video on, just, shoot me off an email and let me know. Christmas to the left, autumn to the right. Thank you for joining me today, and I hope that you enjoy this and have a fantastic weekend.